So tennis fashion right now is about beautiful, dead people. Quiet luxury or old money. It's not enough to be rich. It's about the things that being rich for such a long time give you. It's taste, access, sophistication, power, glamour. So I guess it's not just about money, it's about class. And the heroes of those stories tend to be like literally royalty. So you've got brands copying Princess Diana's iconic paparazzi looks. So it's like this funny trick, right? You build this universe, old money, stealth, wealth, whatever you want to call it, so that you can transform tennis, which is a pretty accessible, affordable sport, but by tying it into this world, you're not really selling tennis clothes anymore, you're selling royalty. So that the price of admission is a $200 tennis polo, which would seem ludicrous in the real world, but if you pitch it as admission to a universe that you would otherwise have no access to, it seems almost reasonable. And regardless of my feelings about it, this strategy, this fantasy, this world building of old money obviously works. But surely vintage sportswear of retro sports style has other narratives, has other stories. So I was contacted by Volley. And the question for me was, how do we tackle a new story? Volley is a heritage Australian sports brand, tennis brand. They've had a shoe that's 8 years old, probably was a performance shoe way back when, and now Volley is back. They've redesigned the shoe, and now they want to get into retro sports apparel. So the plan was to throw that old money aesthetic, stealth wealth playbook and throw it in the bin. To click into the Australian fantasy of sport. It's not a story about money, it's not a story about fame and glamour. It's not about country club tennis. It's about public court tennis. And because Volley has existed for 80 odd years, I'd really had the luxury of choosing any decade in the past to really zero in on a design language. So I chose 1970s, 1980s, where Australia as a viewing public witnessed their athletes really outperform on a world stage. And then you also figure out what is going on in Australia at the time. What Australia is going through are these waves of European migration. Greek people, Italian people, they're bringing to Australia new ideas, new aesthetics, new fashion. And these migrants shape what we view now as sportswear culture. Adidas, Puma, Kappa, Fila, with their windbreakers, tracksuits. And at that price point, that's not a uniform of the upper class, that's middle Australia. But what's also going on in design in the 60s and 70s? What colors, what shapes are people used to seeing? Like what is cutting edge for the time? What's in consumer electronics? What's in industrial design? And even though that's not tennis, that's still telling the story of middle Australia in the 60s to 80s. So now we've laid the table of these design ingredients. Then we start consolidating that into shapes, silhouettes, sketches. So it's not just us jumping on some Princess Diana pastiche, it's us telling our own story. So these are the sketches that I sent in. One of the key things I definitely wanted was a short sleeve windbreaker. I was really inspired by this particular photo from The Sopranos. And it's a really striking piece of 80s sportswear, that short sleeve windbreaker that Christopher's wearing in this photo. And that color palette is straight from consumer electronics. This is one of the ideas for the bomber jacket. One of the early ideas I wanted to play with was that the curves of the tennis ball, the way that it's constructed, also is reflected in the design lines of the bomber jacket. But that's the thing about sketches. These things aren't three-dimensional objects. I can draw whatever I want. It takes me seconds. But to actually translate that into a commercial design that is easy to make at scale is a completely different process skill set. I got the easy end of the deal. The work remains to choose the right fabric, to pattern make, to do multiple fittings, and then to bring it all under budget. You have to give credit to their design team, their fabric sourcing team. This is the start of a very exciting journey for them.